Imagine a machine so intelligent it can write stories, answer complex questions, solve math puzzles, and even converse with you just like a human. And what if I told you this machine has no brain, no emotions, and no body? It's not a robot, it's something even more revolutionary: GPT. Let's dive into the mind-blowing science behind GPT and explore how it works at the intersection of physics, math, and cutting-edge technology. This is a journey for all ages, from the curious to the expert. GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. What does that mean? It's a type of AI that learns patterns in text and then generates new text based on those patterns. It's like having a brain that has read millions of books, articles, and websites. So, when you ask it a question, it uses what it's learned to answer in a way that feels human. But how does it actually work? Well, that's where the magic of physics, mathematics, and computer science come in. Let's break it down, starting with the very basics. Here's where things get interesting. GPT doesn't understand words the way humans do. Instead of thinking of words as cat or dog, it thinks in numbers, more specifically, vectors. You can think of a vector as a multi-dimensional arrow that represents a word's meaning in a very specific mathematical space. Vectors are just numbers organized in space. The closer two vectors are, the more similar the words they represent are in meaning. For example, the vectors for cat and dog will be near each other because they're both animals, while cat and car will be further apart. This process helps GPT understand relationships between words in a way that's efficient for generating coherent text. This is a key aspect of how GPT processes language. It transforms words into vectors, mathematical representations that capture their meaning, allowing it to generate text based on patterns, similarities, and context. Now, let's talk about attention, one of the key breakthroughs in GPT's architecture. Imagine you're reading a book and you skim through the text. You don't focus on every single word, but rather on the parts that seem most important. GPT does the same thing, only it's incredibly precise about which words to focus on. This process is called self-attention. When GPT reads a sentence, it uses three key elements: query, key, and value. These are mathematical functions that help GPT figure out which parts of a sentence are most relevant to understanding the overall meaning. It's like a super smart search engine that zooms in on the crucial parts of text. Essentially, GPT calculates the relationship between each word in a sentence by comparing their query to all the other words' keys. The resulting match tells GPT how much attention to give to each word, which allows it to focus on the key parts that define the meaning. At the heart of GPT is the transformer architecture, which is built with multiple layers. Each layer processes information differently, just like how our brain processes simple signals before understanding complex thoughts. In GPT, each layer uses attention mechanisms to focus on different relationships and patterns in the data. What makes GPT powerful is its ability to use multi-head attention. This means that GPT doesn't just look at one part of the sentence at a time. It considers multiple parts of the sentence simultaneously, processing information from different perspectives. Imagine you're solving a complex puzzle. Instead of focusing on one piece at a time, you can see several pieces at once, which helps you understand the whole picture faster. That's how GPT works. Now, let's look at positional encoding. When GPT processes text, it needs to know the order of words. After all, the cat sat on the mat means something completely different from the mat sat on the cat. Positional encoding is like giving each word a unique timestamp. It helps GPT keep track of where each word appears in the sentence. This way, GPT knows that cat comes before sat, and that the sentence makes sense in that specific order. How does GPT learn all this? It's trained on vast amounts of text data, from books to articles and websites. Each time it encounters a mistake, it adjusts its internal parameters. This is how GPT becomes smarter over time. During training, GPT uses a process called gradient descent. This involves tweaking its parameters step by step to reduce errors. Essentially, it's like adjusting a dial to get a more accurate prediction each time. Training a model like GPT requires massive computational power. Think of it like a physics experiment. Just as an experiment needs energy to power machines, GPT needs huge amounts of computational resources. At the core of this is parallel processing, running multiple computations at the same time, with each processor working on a small part of the problem. This is where the power of GPUs, graphics processing units, comes in. GPUs are designed to handle thousands of tasks at once, making them perfect for the massive matrix multiplications GPT needs. Everything in GPT, from word vectors to neural network weights, is essentially a mathematical object. When these vectors are multiplied and processed in parallel, they create the output GPT generates, whether it's a sentence, a poem, or a solution to a math problem. GPT's potential goes beyond academic curiosity. It's already changing how we work. From assisting doctors with medical diagnoses to helping programmers write code, GPT is revolutionizing industries. But as we embrace these powerful tools, we must consider important questions. How do we prevent AI from reinforcing biases? How can we trust the information it generates? And what is the environmental cost of running these large models? As we've seen, GPT is more than just an AI model. It's a glimpse into a future where machines and humans work together to create, solve, and innovate. But we've only begun to scratch the surface. What do you think? How will AI, like GPT, change the world in the years to come? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into AI. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.